I was 9 years old when it happened. That summer felt like any other, warm and filled with the innocent joy of childhood. At that age, the world still felt safe, like the whole universe was made up of sunny days, playful laughter, and the gentle sound of water flowing by the river near my cousin's house. He and I were inseparable. Every chance we got, we'd go out to the river, barefoot and careless, our pockets full of breadcrumbs and mismatched snacks, our hearts full of excitement. The river wasn't just water to us. It was a kingdom, a magical realm where we imagined ourselves as explorers, adventurers, even kings. We'd lie on the riverbank, letting our hands skim the surface of the water, talking about things that only children believe in, fairies in the trees, secret treasures beneath the stones, and a world where no one ever got hurt. Looking back, I realize how precious those moments were, because on one particular afternoon, that entire sense of peace, of safety, was shattered in the blink of an eye. It was a brutally hot day, the kind where even the grass seems to sweat and the cicadas scream from every tree branch. We had just finished a game and were sitting down to eat the simple lunch we'd brought with us, some pieces of bread, an apple, and 2 cans of warm soda. That's when we saw it. A dog. A stray. Thin, dirty, and walking with a limp. Its fur was tangled and patchy, its ribs visible through its skin. But it didn't growl. It didn't bark. It just stood there, a few feet away from us, staring. I remember the way its eyes looked. So empty, yet so full of pain. I didn't feel fear. I felt sorry for it. I reached into the bag and pulled out a piece of bread. "I think it's hungry," I told my cousin. "Let's feed it." I took a few cautious steps forward and extended the bread in my hand, crouching low to appear less threatening. I remember smiling at it, like you would smile at a lost friend. And in the next second, everything exploded into terror. It lunged at me. No warning, no growl, no hesitation. One moment I was trying to feed it, the next I was on the ground with the dog's teeth sinking into my skin. I screamed. My cousin shouted, but the dog was relentless. Its body slammed against mine, knocking the air out of my lungs. I felt the sharp, tearing pain on my arm first, then on my shoulder, then the side of my neck. I tried to push it off, but I couldn't. It was heavier than I expected, and strong. So much stronger than I ever imagined a stray dog could be. My tiny hands were useless against its jaws. Every time I tried to escape, it clamped down harder, as if it wanted to erase me from existence. I remember looking up at the sky. The sun was still shining, but to me, everything felt cold. I felt like a doll, flimsy, helpless, being thrashed around by something beyond my control. I could barely breathe. My cousin tried to grab the dog by its tail, then by its back, but nothing worked. The dog growled louder, turning its head just enough to snap at him, forcing him to back away. I didn't understand what was happening. Why was it attacking me? I had only wanted to help. Then, I felt its teeth press harder into my neck. The pain was unreal, like a fire spreading under my skin. It wasn't just physical, it was terror, pure and primal. I thought I was going to die. Right there, on the banks of the river that had once felt like home. And then something strange happened. In the midst of the chaos, the dog froze. Just for a moment. Its body stiffened, its ears perked up, it stopped biting and looked away, toward something I couldn't see. I couldn't move. I was too weak, too scared. My mind was spinning. That's when I heard it. A voice. Not my cousin's, not anyone I recognized. It was calm, steady, and powerful. "Kick it with your foot." I didn't think. I didn't question. I obeyed. With what little strength I had left, I pulled my knee up and kicked. Hard. My foot connected with the dog's chest, and I felt something surge through me, like energy, like fire, like purpose. The dog lifted off me, flew through the air, and landed with a thud several feet away. I was trembling. My whole body was shaking, but I was free. I didn't know what had just happened. The dog lay motionless. My cousin rushed to my side, tears already forming in his eyes. He kept asking, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" but I couldn't speak. I could barely nod. Blood was dripping from my neck, my arms, my shirt. Everything felt far away, like the world had been pushed through a fog. My skin burned, my heart raced, but inside something was going quiet. We stumbled home. I don't remember much of that walk, only that every step felt heavier than the last. And then I saw them, my parents running down the road toward us. My mother's face twisted with horror, my father holding a shotgun. They thought the dog had followed us. When they reached us, I collapsed into their arms. My mother's hands trembled as she held me. My father's voice broke as he told us to get in the car. We drove to the nearest clinic. It was small, not equipped for emergencies, but they did what they could. Cleaned the wounds, wrapped them in gauze, gave me painkillers. They told us to watch for signs of infection, that I'd be okay. But I wasn't okay. That night, as I lay in bed, something felt off. It started as a tightness in my throat. Like I couldn't swallow. My lips were dry. But when my mother brought me a glass of water, something inside me recoiled. The moment I saw it, I panicked. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want it near me. My body began to sweat profusely. I was burning from the inside out. Then came the jerking. First my hands, then my legs, then my entire body convulsed, as if some invisible force was trying to rip me apart from within. My mother screamed. My father ran to the phone, shouting at the operator to send help, but there was no time. They picked me up, rushed me into the car, and drove. I was barely conscious, just aware enough to know I was lying in the back seat, my head on my mother's lap. She kept calling my name over and over, her voice cracking like dry leaves in the wind. The car shook on the road. I could hear my father cursing under his breath, pushing the car fast. 30 minutes. That's how long the drive was to the hospital. 30 minutes where I felt like I was dying in slow motion. My eyes fluttered open and shut. My limbs twitched on their own. The pain was unbearable, but it wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was the fear. Not fear of dying, but fear that I was slipping into something I couldn't return from. Something deeper, darker. Let me know when you're ready for part 4, where we step into the full near-death experience, floating outside the body and the first glimpse of the afterlife. The hospital was cold. I remember the flickering lights, the blur of white coats, the sting of antiseptic in the air. People moved around me, doctors, nurses, shadows in motion, but their voices faded, like they were speaking through a wall of water. My body kept shaking. I was vaguely aware of the wires being attached to me, the beeping of machines trying to track the last signs of my life. Then, everything stopped. No pain, no pressure, no sound. Silence. I blinked, but my eyes weren't opening, because I wasn't in my body anymore. I was above it, floating, weightless. And down below me was me, lying on a hospital bed, pale, hooked up to machines. My mother sat at my side, gripping my hand like she could pull me back just by holding on. Her face was soaked with tears. Her lips were moving, but I couldn't hear her. I tried to speak, I tried to shout her name, but no words came out. I had no voice, no breath, no form, really, just awareness, just presence. I drifted toward the hallway as if guided by something invisible. There, in the corner of a sterile waiting room, I saw my father. His face was buried in his hands. My cousin sat beside him, knees pulled to his chest, guilt etched across his face like stone. My heart ached, or the memory of my heart ached. I wasn't sure if I was dead, but I knew I was no longer alive. Then, as I tried to return, tried to will myself back into the room, something shifted. The air thickened, the lights dimmed. A pressure built around me, not painful but heavy. Then, from the corner of nothingness, a tunnel appeared. It wasn't just darkness, it was pulling darkness, like a vacuum that reached deep into your soul and tugged, gently but firmly. I didn't resist. I couldn't. And so, I let go. I was moving. though rising. Through the tunnel, faster and faster, like being launched into space, there was no ground, no sky, only this endless current of light pulling me upward. My body, my fear, even my memories, they all seemed to peel away, layer by layer, until all that remained was me. But a different me. A quieter, clearer version. The darkness around me slowly began to lift, replaced by a soft glow. The deeper I went, the brighter it became, and then, just like that, I broke through, and everything changed. I found myself hovering in a sea of clouds, weightless and calm. The air was still, yet full. It felt like being inside a heartbeat, the kind of stillness that has sound. A living silence. Ahead of me stood 3 enormous gates, golden and glimmering like the surface of a jewel under sunlight. Each gate shimmered with its own hue, one with warm amber, one with deep sapphire, and one with a soft emerald glow. They weren't just beautiful, they were impossible. Towering above everything, they stretched into the heavens like they had no end. Every inch of their frame was embedded with radiant gems, each pulsing faintly as if alive. The largest stone planted at the top of the middle gate was the size of a car, gleaming with a light that didn't hurt my eyes, but instead comforted me. I felt small, but not unworthy. I felt like I was being welcomed. I floated closer to the gate on the right, the one glowing in green. It wasn't calling me exactly, but it felt familiar, like a melody I hadn't heard since I was born. I stepped through. What waited on the other side took my breath away, if I still had breath. It was a garden, but not of flowers or trees. It was a living sanctuary, a vast, open space filled with animals of every shape and kind. Some I recognized, some I had only seen in books, and others I couldn't name at all. An enormous elephant with ears like sails slowly turned to look at me, munching peacefully on a tree branch. A monkey swung lazily from a branch above, sticking its tongue out playfully before disappearing into a vine-covered canopy. Strange, tiny creatures the size of rabbits with glowing fur ran past me, giggling, yes, giggling as they chased one another. There was no fear here, only harmony, as if everything belonged. And then I felt it. Something big, something powerful was approaching. The air shifted slightly, not from danger, but from awe. I turned, and standing not far from me was a lion. It was magnificent. The lion stood tall, taller than any lion I'd ever seen, its mane flowing like golden silk, eyes gleaming not with hunger or aggression, but with wisdom. Its presence was commanding, not in a threatening way, but in a way that made the entire world around us pause, just for it to breathe. Its paws touched the earth gently but with purpose. Every step it took sent soft ripples through the grass. When it looked at me, I didn't feel fear. I felt known. And then it spoke. "Welcome to heaven, my friend." The voice wasn't loud, but it echoed through everything. Through the sky, the ground, the very air. I didn't even realize I was still breathing. I blinked. You can talk?" The lion smiled, not with lips, but with presence. "Yes, and so can everything here. Because this is a place without boundaries, without limits. Even language is divine." I looked around. "But I understand you perfectly." "How?" "Because in this place there is no confusion, no mistranslation. What we feel, we share. What we mean, we become. There is no need to learn a language. Here, you remember it." It was beautiful, and strange, and overwhelming. Still, my curiosity burned. "So, do all animals come to heaven?" The lion nodded solemnly. "Yes. Every life matters. Every soul is remembered. Every creature is sacred. No one is forgotten. Not in this place." I didn't know how to respond. My chest felt tight, not with fear, but with something deeper, a realization I couldn't fully explain. And then across the glowing field, I saw movement, something small, something fast, a shape I hadn't seen in years but recognized immediately. It was a dog. Not just any dog, my dog. I knew him instantly. Even though he was still far away, his body small against the glowing horizon, I recognized the way he ran, the bounce in his step, the shape of his ears, especially the one with the little gray spot that never grew fur quite right. My voice cracked, or rather, my soul did. He ran faster as he got closer, and then, just like when we were kids, he leapt into my arms. His paws landed on my chest, and I fell to my knees holding him tight. The smell of his fur, the sound of his breathing, it was all exactly the same. I buried my face in his neck. "I missed you," I whispered. "I missed you every single day. When he died, I was 7, he'd been sick, and I thought we still had time, but one morning he was gone. I cried for days. I blamed my dad for not taking him to the vet sooner. I blamed the world for taking him from me. But now, here he was, alive, whole, happy. And then he spoke. "Thank you." I pulled back, stunned. I knew everything could speak here, but hearing his voice, that voice, was something else entirely. He continued. "Thank you for loving me, for playing with me, for protecting me. I was with you for a reason, and when that purpose was fulfilled, I had to go." I shook my head. "But you didn't have to leave like that. It hurt so much." He looked at me, those familiar brown eyes now filled with something deeper than understanding. "I know, but every soul has a time, and every bond has a meaning. My time with you taught us both what love is. That's enough." His body started to shimmer. Not suddenly, not all at once, but like smoke dissolving in the morning light. His paws faded, his fur became translucent, his voice softer. "You never lost me. I've always been here. And I always will be." I reached out, but there was nothing left to hold. He was gone. And yet, I didn't cry, because I finally understood. The garden began to fade. The glowing clouds around me slowly dissolved, as if the world I had just discovered was being gently tucked away behind a curtain. Then, a light appeared. It wasn't blinding or burning, it was warm, like a sunrise pressed into my chest. From it came a presence, so powerful that I couldn't move, yet so peaceful that I didn't want to. Then I heard a voice. "Your time is up." The words echoed deep into my soul, not as a warning, not as punishment, just truth. I stood there, frozen in the fading garden. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Who are you?" There was a long pause. Then the voice returned. "It's time to go back." My heart cracked. No, please. I want to stay. This place, it's everything I never knew I needed. I don't want to go back to pain, to fear." And then the voice said gently, "Your mother needs you." That was all it took. The moment I heard those words, I saw her face again. The way she cried in that waiting room, the way she gripped my hand when I was slipping away. For her, I would go back. The light swelled around me, and I felt a pull, soft at first, then unstoppable. And then everything disappeared. I opened my eyes. Hospital ceiling tiles greeted me. Harsh fluorescent light poured through the window. But I was breathing. I was alive. My throat was dry, but I didn't resist the glass of water this time. I drank it slowly, like tasting life for the first time. Then I saw something, or someone. Standing just outside the window was Jesus. He wasn't glowing in the way cartoons show. It was more than that. He radiated presence. His robes fluttered in a wind I couldn't feel. His hair was golden brown, gently curled. His eyes, they saw everything. Past, future, my soul. He smiled. And in that smile, I felt peace. I wanted to call out. I wanted to ask if it was really him, but before I could move, my mom walked into the room. I turned to her. "Did you see him?" I asked. She looked confused, worried. "See who?" "Jesus," I whispered. He was just right there. She came to my side and touched my forehead. You might be hallucinating. You've been through so much. Maybe I was. But deep down, I knew what I had seen. And more importantly, I knew what I had felt. Years passed. I never forgot what happened. Not just the attack, not just the tunnel, but everything. The lion, the gates, the voice, my dog, the love that wrapped around me like a blanket in the sky. And because of that experience, I changed. I began to see the world differently. I began to feel differently. So when I grew older, I joined an animal protection organization. It wasn't just about rescuing animals anymore. It was about honoring the sacredness of life, the very truth I had learned beyond the veil. We saved dogs that had been left behind, cats locked in abandoned buildings, even injured birds, raccoons, and creatures no one cared about. I remembered the dog that bit me, the one I had tried to help. I didn't hate it. In fact, I thanked it. Because through that pain I was led to a truth that most people never touch. One day, we found a stray deep in the woods, a skinny dog with one eye shut from infection, a limp in its leg, and wounds across its body. He didn't bark, he didn't run, he just lay there, curled up in the mud, watching us with eyes full of distrust. We didn't force him. We came back every day, brought food, sat nearby in silence, showed him with presence that not all humans hurt. Little by little, he began to trust. He wagged his tail, he let us clean his wounds, he let himself be loved. And when he was fully healed, a kind man adopted him, gave him a home, a name. Lucky. He was no longer a shadow in the woods, he was family. And I thought, how many souls are out there, just waiting to be seen? I survived something I wasn't supposed to. I left my body, entered another world, saw things no child should see, and returned with a fire in my heart. A mission. And that mission is this. Every living being matters. Every life has meaning. Every act of love, every gentle word, every time you feed a stray or comfort a frightened soul, you touch something eternal. If you can give a home to a stray, do it. If you can stop someone from hurting an animal, speak up. If you can love what others throw away, you are already a miracle. I've walked through death. I've looked into the eyes of heaven, and I can tell you, the greatest power in the universe is not fear, it's love. Thank you for listening to my story.